Ever had one of those moments where you just know you're about to become a part of a story you'd rather not be in, but here you are, trapped? That was us. My twin sister, Ava, and I stood at the entrance of Silverstone International, clutching our first-class boarding passes like they were golden tickets. But the prize wasn't what you'd think. No, we weren't about to get treated like royalty. We just hoped for once to be treated like any other regular passenger. Ava shot me a look. It was the same one she always gave when things were about to go sideways, like, here we go again. Sure enough, at the gate, a staff member named Greg Walters, clearly annoyed, threw us a glance that said he was already tired of us before we even opened our mouths. With a sneer, he snapped, "I don't care who your father is. You're not getting on this flight." He said it so loudly that half the terminal turned to stare. I sometimes wonder if people like Greg practice those lines in the mirror, preparing for their moments of power. Let me rewind for a second. Ava and I, identical twins, 17 years old, were making our way to the East Coast for college tours. It was the first time we were flying solo, no dad hovering over us like some kind of shadow. See, our dad isn't your average parent. He's Lucas Harper, and just a few weeks ago, he became the CEO of Atlantic Horizons Airlines. But no one knew that. He kept it under wraps, bought our tickets through a private account to observe how the airline treated regular folks. Those first-class passes? Not ours. But we were thrilled to have them. Our braids neatly styled, sneakers worn in from years of use, doing our best to blend in while still sticking out like sore thumbs. When we reached the check-in counter, Greg barely acknowledged us, as if we were invisible. He greeted the couple behind us with a smile, all charm. And then, when we finally spoke up, he turned icy. "I'll help you when I'm ready." The sting wasn't new, though. We've had this happen before. Greg spent the next few minutes chatting with a few white passengers, barely acknowledging us as he helped them. Finally, he snatched our tickets, scrutinized them like they were counterfeit, and asked in a dismissive tone, "Are you sure you're at the right counter?" We explained, calmly, politely, like we've been taught to do, over-explaining in the way black girls often have to. Still, his doubt lingered. "Where did you get these from?" Our patience was nearly gone, but we pressed on, telling him our father bought the tickets. He wasn't satisfied and took our IDs and boarding passes without another word, disappearing into a back office while we stood there, feeling the weight of everyone's gaze. 15 minutes passed, then he returned, loudly announcing, "You've been reassigned to economy, gate 32. No apology, no reason, just a cold. First class isn't for everyone," he said, his tone loud and pointed. Ava clenched her fists, ready to shout, but I stopped her. We had been warned our whole lives. Our anger was always seen as aggression. We requested a supervisor, but Greg's response was, "She's busy. Take it up with the gate." Humiliated, we walked away. Ava whispered we should call Dad, but I shook my head. Not yet. Only for real emergencies. We didn't notice Greg making a phone call, but I'm sure it wasn't to wish us a safe flight. Security was the next round of frustration, where white passengers sailed through without so much as a second glance. But when it was our turn, we were randomly selected for extra screening. The TSA agent, a woman named Kelly Foster, was practically waiting for us, smirking as she pulled our bags apart. She even dumped our allergy medication on the table like it was something illegal. Then came the search, the rough, uncomfortable pat-down, accompanied by comments about our hair, loud enough for everyone around us to hear. "Always got to check these complicated hairstyles," Kelly said, laughing. A few people started filming, but before anything could escalate, a supervisor showed up and warned everyone to delete the videos. No one argued, and after a long, drawn-out inspection, we were left with our belongings tossed about and no time to catch our flight. Ava wanted to call Dad again. "He's in a meeting." I reminded her, "We'll handle this." But honestly, we were just telling ourselves lies to avoid facing the truth. With an hour until boarding, we thought we'd grab a bite at the airport's Skyview Cafe. The hostess, Melinda Banks, took one look at us and told us it would be a 45-minute wait, even though half the tables were free. We pointed that out, and she stammered, "Those are reserved." We called her out on it. Her website didn't say anything about reservations. She blushed, but then, without missing a beat, claimed it was a new policy. Not even a minute later, She seated a white couple at one of those reserved tables. Ava snapped, "Really?" And suddenly, we were the ones causing trouble. The manager, Nate Thompson, showed up, accusing us of being disruptive, but a kind Latina waitress, Sofia Ramirez, tried to help us. Nate shut her down, telling us, "Find somewhere else to eat," making it clear who wasn't welcome. We left, barely holding it together, when Sophia caught up with us outside, offering food vouchers and promising to back us up if we filed a complaint. It wasn't much, but it was something, a tiny shred of hope. Finally, we made it to the gate and thought we were done. Wrong again. The gate agent, Brian Sinclair, stopped us, loudly calling security. He said our IDs looked fake. That was it. Ava, furious, confronted him. "You're doing this because we're black, and that's illegal." Brian turned red, but instead of backing down, he doubled down. Then, to our shock, a black supervisor named Danielle Ellis appeared. We thought, finally, someone who'll understand. But when she pulled us aside, her smile faded. She whispered, "People like us have to be twice as perfect. Don't make a scene." It hurt more than any insult could. Just as we were about to board, another staff member, Charlie Ward, blocked us, claiming there was an issue with our reservation. While every other passenger boarded, we waited. An hour later, Charlie told us our seats had been given away due to security concerns. Then, security arrived, hands on their weapons, treating us like criminals. They threatened to confiscate our phones if we recorded. That's when we finally called Dad. For the first time, he answered on the first ring. We told him everything, every detail. He listened, and after a long pause, he said, "Girls, there's something you need to know. I'm a new CEO of Atlantic Horizons Airlines." I was speechless. Ava gasped. "What?" Dad explained why he kept it a secret, why we were flying the airline, and why he needed to see how the company really operated. "Don't move," he said, "and record everything." Within minutes, the phone started buzzing off the hook, executives offering us private jets and luxury accommodations. Dad told us to refuse. Then, Brian Sinclair came running, begging us to accept a private flight. I just said, "We're waiting for our father's instructions." That's when Dad's voice boomed through my phone. "Mr. Sinclair, this is Lucas Harper, CEO. Everything is being recorded. Return to your post." Brian's face turned pale, and he bolted. Then, all hell broke loose. Every flight with Atlantic Horizons was grounded. The entire terminal descended into chaos as news crews swarmed, and the airline's departures boards lit up with delays. Dad pulled every string, making sure the airline paid the price for their discrimination, not just with lawsuits, but also with lost business and ruined reputation. The executives scrambled, trying to clean up the mess, but witnesses came forward and videos emerged. Back in a boardroom, Dad went head-to-head with Malcolm Donovan, the powerful investor who had opposed his hiring. Donovan tried to frame Dad's actions as an overreaction, but Dad had all the proof. Years of complaints, hidden lawsuits, ignored risks. When Donovan threatened to destroy our family's future, Dad calmly reminded him that everything was being recorded. The board realized the real threat wasn't data leaks. It was ignoring the discrimination that was right in front of them. Atlantic Horizons didn't just survive the scandal. It became the first airline to make anti-discrimination policies central to its operations. The employees who wronged us weren't just fired. They were brought in to help build the new system and truly listen to the stories of those they'd harmed. Months later, when Ava and I boarded another flight to Boston, a young South Asian agent greeted us warmly, and Danielle, now a senior flight attendant, came to thank us in person, her voice shaking with gratitude. "You changed this airline," she said. As we took off, I glanced back at the terminal and saw a little black girl peeking out from her window, smiling. And I thought, she'll never know what happened at Gate 32, but because of it, she'll be free from the same struggles. Sometimes, change comes from unexpected places. Maybe that's enough.